It's the Champions Chess Tour Finals, and this is a wild game between Hikaru Nakamura with black and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave with white. It's Armageddon chess, so look at the clocks here. After these opening moves, Hikaru's already down just over 5 minutes, and that means if they draw, he wins and goes through to the next stage. So Maxime must win. We get knight f3, knight f6, the Russian game or Petrov defense from Hikaru. But after pawn captures, he doesn't play the usual d6, he takes this pawn. This is called the Damiano Gambit. Hikaru's been playing it a lot. So queen e2 played, hits the knight, you cannot move it back anywhere or you walk into discovered checks. Awful. So the queen comes to e7. This is the point of the line that after that knight drops, you then play d6 and the knight can't retreat or the queen drops. So d4 supports it. Sorry, f4, I was thinking d4, that's most commonly played, but Maxime goes with this one. We now get captures, pawn recaptures, white is a clean pawn up, this is why it's a gambit, and now f5. Very bold, aggressive play from Hikaru in a game you only need to draw. So the queen drops to e3, no en passant or your queen would have dropped. Now we see knight c6 and we don't even see the pawn defended. MVL just goes knight c3 here and Hikaru doesn't win back his pawn. And it basically seems that if you go for this, white gets a nice initiative with d4 and has the better of the endgame. But okay, it was an option. But the pawn not touched. Knight b4 instead played by Hikaru. Now he's looking to fork on c2 and you've not got a comfortable way to defend, if that, then knight takes. So king d1 played. It is the top move, but you can no longer castle the king. So bishop e6 develops, we get a3, driving back the knight, bishop b5, pinning, and now look at this for some wild chess. g5 from Hikaru. It's the second top engine move, so he's in his prep here, done his homework, but how about that for an expansion, f4 coming, and then there's these bishop g4 check ideas. So d3 now played, f4 on the board, the queen comes to e4, you can already check here, but the top engine move is castle's queenside. This is bold play, right? You have to know what you're doing. And after captures, which Maxime plays, shattering the pawns, well now here bishop g4 check should have been played. Forces king d2, game goes on. But this one was captured and it now allows MVL to go bishop d2, but he misses it. And now if you check, you can sidestep the king here, much safer than on d2, and you're still holding the e-pawn. If it's attacked, you defend. If you attack it some more with the rook, so what? You can take here, the rook still covers, etc. So that was the way to go, just going bishop d2. But queen takes on c6 played, winning the pawn, looking at this kind of stuff too, but now when Hikaru checks, the king's got to go to d2 and it is stuck there in the center forever now. Huge target. Now this game is so complex, right? Because this pawn is just taken by Hikaru here, threatening mate in one, not caring about this, because if white had done this, you step to d7 with the king, and even if you take this pawn here, well, it's impossible, because now there's this awesome move of rook a8. You're distracting the queen from the defense of the checkmate. What to do? There's nothing. You have to go rook e1, and black's just better. You can take with check, then pick up the queen. If the queen leaves the diagonal, you get mated. This is the trick. So we didn't see any of this stuff from MVL. He goes rook e1, kicks back that queen. It jumps over to c5 here. Now the top engine way to play is swap the queens, but MVL checks, king b8, he wants to keep the queens on, get an attack going, he must win the game. And now the next move, knight e4, is solid enough. We get queen d5, eyeballing this king, and something like rook b1 is the top engine choice, or b3. But a4 is played, and this move is horrendous, as you can see. Now, of course, there's attacking ideas. Maybe you lift the rook one day, or you keep going and lift the rook here, so on and so forth. But the problem with this is the queen can now no longer retreat there. And after this excellent move, which Hikaru finds, of c6, you've cut any options for the queen to go this way. And there's this threat of bishop c8 to trap that queen. Because if it ever comes to c4, you take with the queen and the pawn's pinned here. You can't recapture, you know, the rook sits there. So that's why b3. Now if bishop c8, there's queen c4, takes, and b pawn recaptures. You're just surviving. But there's a tactic which is still alive in the air here, and it's the excellent move, you know, well done if you spotted this, of bishop to b4 check. Now after pawn c3, the trick here is not actually bishop c8, because then the queen retreats here. Once again, you can go with the b pawn as a capture. So after this bishop b4 check move, c3, instead of this one, you should play queen takes on b3. This is the point. And now pawn takes here is best, and because of this pressure here, mate threats in the air, bishop c8 comes on the board, and where to go with the queen? Now if you come to c4, there's no pawn on b3, the queen will take, you'll win the queen. So something like rook b1's best, just to try and distract that queen and so on, and you can take, or you can flick in a check first. Crazy lines here, but black emerges better, material ahead. Okay. But bishop b4 check missed. Instead, bishop g7. Also natural, hitting the rook, but that explains the huge swing in the bar. So rook b1 on the board, you know, another swing goes there. c3 was best. Okay, we won't keep digressing. Rook hg8 from Hikaru. Queen c4 comes back into the game, and now bishop d4 to e3 was technically strongest. But Hikaru lands this check, and it's really not good. White now better because of this move, which Maxime finds, the excellent b4. You hit this queen here, and what to do? The engine wants to just retreat. Don't even touch these pawns, well, this pawn, and play that position. But okay, Hikaru shaking his head, thinking, not happy, eventually takes, burns 2.5 minutes. That's significant when he's so low on time. And now, this is the point. There's bishop b2, trading these ones off, rook recaptures, and there's so many attacking ideas in the air. Knight c3 is the first to deal with, trapping the queen. There's also rook a2 coming in combination with that idea. So queen b5 played also blockades this b pawn, and now here one of the top moves is just taking off and then winning a pawn, playing that endgame. But MVL once again wants to keep the queens on, but it does shed advantage playing like this. Knight c5 is a threat, again to block the queen out from the action. So it hops over to e5 here, d5 also a good move, and now b5 from MVL, he plows forward once more, looking for play. Here Hikaru takes the pawn, but it wasn't best. He should take off the queens right at this moment, but he captures. Look at this now, white's doing great, but only if you find this, and then the follow-up move of knight to f6. This is not simple stuff to spot. And the point is, you're hitting the bishop on g4, covering the e8 square so the rook can't support the other one, and you're attacking here. So black's got to take on e1, that much is forced, you have to save the rook, but then you take in betweener with check. You get the king moving, now the rook recaptured, bishop's attacked, this is the best line here, sorry not that one, bishop d7, and you get something like this where white's a pawn up, but also these are very weak. Good winning chances, but okay, we didn't see that one played out, no captures. Instead, rook a1, MVL still going for the attack, but you can see a big swing in the bar. Rook d5 now supports this pawn some more. We get queen a5 now. Huge swing in the bar because black's got mate in 6. Taking was apparently best. Now, it's not actually about capturing this rook. Then white is checkmating. You get all this stuff. You win back the material and you smash up that king. So don't touch the rook, but there is a winning trick here. Pause if you want to practice on your puzzle rush. And the way to go is with rook takes on d3. What a fantastic move. Now if king captures, this is the simplest to understand, well, to an extent. But you sidestep and wherever you go, you're just getting hunted around this board. just one sample line. There are other checkmates. So coming back here, after rook takes, what if pawn takes? Well, then you capture this one with check. This is the key difference to taking it straight away. And again, after the king steps back, well, you're literally mating. This one participates in so many attacks. So that was a winning way to go, but Hikaru misses it. He's got to use his time wisely. So he just goes rook e7, covering the threat. Now we get rook a b1, hitting the b pawn. So rook b7 played. Excellent defensive square. Rook b4 now from MVL, lifting into the game, and f3 is this fantastic randomizer from Hikaru. You know, again, computer says knight c3, hit the rook hit bishop here, etc. Then black goes rook d4. But okay, pawn captures was played, not the best, because after captures, now Hikaru's really activating, but the game was so tough. Knight c3 from MVL hits this rook. Rook c5, queen d8 check, the rook slides back, queen back to d4, you had to cover this knight. Now Hikaru doesn't even swap queens here, he plays the excellent attacking move, checking the king, and he's got two connected passes. That's important for the endgame. a6 now played, supports b5, we get king b2, queen c7 back, now rook c1, protecting the c2 pawn, making way for the knight to start moving, queen c5 played, and finally MVL has got nothing better but to take these ones off the board. Hikaru, can he steer it towards this draw here, or is it going to end up with some tricks for white? We get knight b1 played, h5, knight d2, hits the bishop, defended by the rook, c4, rook e1, this rook doubles, now c4, looking for the play against the king. So this bishop drops back to cover b5, knight b3 looks for knight d4, rook d7 covers, rook e6 invading, the bishop now protected, d4, MVL throwing here as much fuel on the fire as he can. We get captures, rook recaptures, rook d6, and now a check. Hikaru just holding things together. He slides back with the king, hits this rook, so it moves to h7, attacking the pawn. And now Hikaru just ignores that pawn. Great counterattack. So he goes rook b5, pressuring this knight. And if you capture, well, you just start intensifying the pressure. This is the point. And if you ever liquidate off all the pieces, well, black's just a pawn ahead. You're even winning that one. You'll end up getting trousered as the pawns run down the board. So we didn't see the pawn capture here. MVL goes rook c5. Now h4 played. King c3, we get takes on c5 finally, pawn recaptures, rook hit, slides behind the g-pawn, knight d4, hits that bishop, but Hikaru just ignores with g4. It's not the top move, it sheds a pawn, but it gets things simplified. The pawn's marching, takes with check, rook recaptures, rook g4, and you can see where this one is headed. Here the players agree to draw. There is nothing to play for. That is just a drawn position. So Hikaru advanced. I won't spoil what happened in his next game against Nodebek Abdusatorov. In case you've missed that one, want to catch it up elsewhere. So today is now the knockouts, the semis. Do hit subscribe to never miss a future recap. Oh, and by the way, tomorrow evening, I won't be able to get a recap out the same as I usually do. Work Christmas party, I'm afraid, taking me away. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Check out the video on screen and see you soon.